All right, let's talk Dillon Gabriel. Yes, we have more Dillon Gabriel tape to discuss. He obviously missed the first preseason game. I thought he actually played a lot better than the numbers would suggest in the second preseason game. And ultimately, I actually don't think there's a big difference between preseason game 2 and 3, or I guess for him, 1 and 2. I think we saw a lot of the same stuff. I think there was a couple things that I am going to touch on that I think that he needs to clean up. And then at the end of this video, we'll talk about what I think he did for his stock in terms of trying to ultimately get some playing time in the regular season, which has to be the goal in a situation like this. Let's start off with this play. What's going to happen here is this is a zone coverage concept, and this is, I definitely think, one of the things that the Browns coaching staff really likes about Gabriel. You see all the routes on the screen, and you can look at several different areas of, what could get open. Honestly, a lot of these routes could get open potentially, against this coverage. But when Gabriel takes a snap, he looks towards the bottom of the screen, which is fine. That's what his read is. That's where he's looking. But what you're going to see him do is kind of quickly he looks at this and says, I don't really love what I see. There's more defenders than receivers in the area. The Rams seemingly are all over it at this point. So he's not going to waste any time. He instead gets over to the middle of the field and is able to make the throw and pick up a first down on that play. Again, it's the simple stuff, but it's the understanding how football in the NFL works. He's an older prospect. I think part of why they drafted him is he feels a lot more pro ready than maybe some other players. So there's kind of less of an adjustment period for him, and I think you're kind of seeing that at least in the preseason game. Not to say that this was all perfect. I mean, there were definitely some plays I didn't love. This one is a designed rollout towards the top of the screen, so runs play action goes out in that direction. However, when this play begins, you're going to see a couple of things that I think are worth noting. So first, there's pressure. What are you going to do? Sometimes there's pressure. But what's interesting is since he's a left-handed quarterback, him going towards the right means that he really has to adjust his body. And I actually think that's maybe worth noting is the hand, what hand he throws with. Certain concepts and certain play designs you kind of intentionally do because you have a right-handed or left-handed quarterback. Well, the starter is Joe Flacco. He's right-handed. If Flacco gets injured for a game, are you going to flip everything around? You can do that, but it's maybe not quite as easy as you might think. So I don't know, just something I thought was interesting. But anyways, let's talk about the play itself. He's under pressure, right? Not an easy play for him to make. But you see, because of that, he's throwing way off balance that he just isn't able to hit really a wide open player. And again, while it's maybe not the easiest play in the world, it's the NFL. You got to find a way to get the ball to a player that open. You just do. I know you were under pressure. I get all of that. I still think it's fair to say you got to find a way to get the ball in your receiver's hands on that play. Another one, too, where he's going to misfire on this one. A couple missed throws, which he didn't really have that much in the first game. So interesting that we saw it a bit. Kind of one of his real positive attributes is his accuracy, but maybe not perfect. Hey, everyone misses throws, right? Missed a couple in this one. Also, this one, another example where you're going to see that, high throw, and that could be a dangerous one. I mean, the receiver even got banged up a little bit after that. You can't overthrow those types of passes. Guys are ready to make a big hit. Got to protect your receiver. So that was a missed throw and one you don't want. Although, again, some nice things as well from Dillon Gabriel. The running the offense stuff, which I kind of already touched on a little bit earlier, he just is really good at this stuff. Again, I really do see why the coaching staff likes him. There are things that head coaches look towards when it comes to quarterbacks, and it seems like he does those things. And this play is what I'm talking about. Zone coverage concept. You see this route trying to get into a gap in coverage. Gabriel is going to take the snap right here. He looks over. This is, it's open, right? This is getting open on a 3rd down and 10, but it's not going to stay open forever. You have to make sure that you time this well. But if you look at Gabriel, he's already into throwing motion, right? So he's already ready to make this throw. As you see, that's what he does, and they pick up a first down. Again, nothing crazy, no highlight reel level play. So, again, it seems like with the discourse of Sanders versus Gabriel, things have gotten very silly. A lot of people have opinions that didn't even watch either of these two guys actually play. But these are the kind of things where, after the first preseason game, you might look at Gabriel's numbers and say, oh, numbers aren't very good. But so why is the coaching staff still liking him? Why did they have him above Sanders? Well, it's because of this stuff. But now let's head over here because he had a really nice drive at the end of the half for the Cleveland Browns that I want to touch on because it's a lot more of what we're saying of just like being able to do the little things. Watch how. So he's going to take the snap on this one. You see that he, again, first read gets open, but he times it very well. This play, another one where just a really well-timed pass, throwing it exactly when you need to. This one is a 2nd down and 10. Again, wide open, finding the right guy, though, going through his progressions. This one, again, first read, but a well-timed play. These are definitely, some of these are preseason open type of stuff, right? That one, definitely preseason open. This one, a 3rd and 7. Got to make sure you make this play. But again, perfectly accurate, well-timed, able to get the completion. And then this one, again, reading the offense, getting over to the right read. Looked like that was actually using his eyes to get the defenders out of the area more so than actually going to the next read. So good stuff all around from Dillon Gabriel. Again, it's not the fancy stuff, right? This is simple stuff, but it's executing the offense, and you got to be able to do that. And I think that's what a lot of coaches look for in young players is, can you do this stuff, right? You look at the bust that just can't play at all, like Zach Wilson. He couldn't handle this type of stuff in the regular season. This is just preseason, but it's definitely, if you're a Dillon Gabriel fan, it's reason for optimism. There was also some times that like something like this would happen. This is a 3rd down and 8 situation. It's gonna be zone coverage that the Rams defense is in. Gabriel takes a snap, looks down the field, doesn't love what he sees. There were examples of just like guys not getting open. I know I showed a lot of plays where guys were getting pretty wide open, not always happening. So what do? Well, Gabriel's gonna scramble out. He's gonna find a tight window and give his receiver a chance. He kind of got burned on that last week by a similar type of play that resulted in a pick 6 where he kind of gave his receiver a chance and it went horribly wrong. But listen, that's his mindset, and it's going to work out sometimes. It's going to fail some other times. This was kind of a neutral one, but still figured it was interesting and worth talking about. So yeah, ultimately, I thought he mostly played well. Again, similar to last week where it's like there are things you can look at, but I think there are, if you're a coaching staff and saying, can this guy be a backup quarterback? I think he said, yeah, we can live with some of these mistakes. He's a young player. He's going to get better. Again, he was drafted in part to be a pro-ready player, right? That was kind of one of the things you looked at with him is part of why, for the mid-round picks, why he's someone who people thought could stick around for a bit is because he seems like someone who can enter the league right away and do all right. And in my opinion, that's what we've seen from him so far. Now, has he done enough to earn a starting job? Well, again, Flacco played well. Flacco's going to get to start at least for a bit. There's no future with Flacco, obviously, just because of his age. So eventually you might move to these rookies. And I think a positive with Gabriel, and part of why I think they keep putting him above Sanders on the depth chart, is because he is someone who they trust that can just run the offense effectively. I think Sanders gives you more splash plays. But yeah, those are my thoughts on how Dillon Gabriel played. Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.